Hello, my name is Justin Gilmer. I am a freshman student here at Clemson University. I just recently completed the new student dialogue about how prejudice changes the world. Um, we had it in the Lever Hall basement classroom. It was an extremely eye-opening experience. I'm so glad that I was able to have a part of this. Um, this focused mainly on how our preconceived notions about prejudice, like our preconceived notions, uh, are create prejudice, and that we shouldn't just tolerate uh, shouldn't just tolerate other beliefs. Tolerance is not what we need. We need acceptance, and that was the um, most important thing. Like, it really stood out, and I do believe that our group achieved true dialogue. We all sat down. We were all extremely respectful of one another. We let everyone have a chance to speak. Um, I have a feeling that we all moved forward as a group as well. Like it was a great experience. I loved it. I really hope everyone else in my group did as well. Um, a big focus on this project was on this dialogue. Sorry, was religion and how our prejudice, we don't even, it completely affects how we believe about how we view someone. Um, for example, they played this video of I think it was a religious, a Hindu religious um, group, and their main religious garment is a turban. Well, they have a business near the 9/11 trade centers, and still to this day, this video was shot last year, if I remember correctly. They're still prejudiced and hated, and everyone in our group was so surprised by that, and we were willing to discuss it. We were willing to talk about it. We were willing to understand how destructive uh, our prejudice can be. And I really do believe we achieved true dialogue through that matter. Um, Also, the group, it was a very enjoyable group. Uh, I'm very glad that our two hosts decided to do icebreakers at the beginning. That it really cut down on the awkwardness, and then so that way when we all decided to speak, we all knew each other a little bit. Even though we just met each other the first time, we sort of knew each other, and that was a very important part. I am grateful that they did that. Uh, the dynamics overall, there were very active voices in our dialogue. Um, there was one uh, girl who was atheist, and a few of the Christian women also decided to just talk. And there were there were a few, they would be the ones who would always start the conversations. There was always a little bit of an awkward silence at the beginning every time we had a question, because none of us really wanted to go ahead and answer, but they were able to. Um, they always started the conversation, and I am very glad they did, because once someone spoke up, it was much easier for everyone else to start, feeding in. And then, of course, there were also very reserved voices. Some people just did not feel comfortable discussing some things. I mean, that's acceptable. I understand, but um, they, our host, did ensure that everyone there spoke at least one time that night, and everyone did. Of course, some people didn't really want to discuss it, but because I mean, just religion and prejudice overall is a very sensitive issue. I mean, I understand that, but they did a great job with it as well. Um, I also was sort of an reserved voice. I was not the kind of person who wanted to start the conversations. Even though as much as like the awkward silence sort of was painful for me to deal with, it was more I was more worried about actually starting the conversations. But once the conversation started, it was so much easier to be able to start. It was so much easier to discuss what you wanted to say. You don't want to be the person who has to start it off, and I'm glad I wasn't, and I'm okay with that. Um, I was a reserved voice as well, um, but I was also willing to take the risk and talk. At times, I was definitely more vocal than some of the people in our group, but I was also less vocal than some of the people in our group as well. Um, I enjoyed commenting on on all these things, though, like the prejudice and the tolerance. Like, we're not supposed to be tolerant, and I'm so glad I was able to speak my mind about this, because we usually don't have to discuss this. Um, I think dialogue is an important part of not only Library 100, but it's important everywhere we go. How else are you going to be able to explain your goals? How else are you going to be able to communicate with other people and make, like, overcome barriers? These people, I would probably never have spoke to them before. I probably would have, like, just I would have, like, brushed them off at times. But we all had equal weight in this conversation. We all were equal contributors to this. We all had a say in this, and we were all able. At least I was able that night to leave the room feeling like I had accomplished something. That I was that I enjoyed it. That we were able to a dialogue. That we were able to get past the barriers that many people in this world face. We were able to get past that. This is so important for university. How you need this to be able to move on. How can you be a culturally aware university with culturally aware students, and unless you have different cultures interacting? And this was an amazing way to have cultures interacting. There were different nationalities, different beliefs all in here, and without that, how can you get past that? Um, I also absolutely loved our facilitators. They they knew when to sort of slow us down and tell us to get back on track, because we did get off track a few times, but we were also able to see the big important picture that they were hoping we would. That we don't need tolerance, we need acceptance. Tolerance is not what we need. It's not okay to tolerate people. It is okay to accept them for who they are and not let that affect your judgment of them or your preconceived notions. Just like with the Hindu who wear turbans, they were thought of as terrorists still to this day, and they're not. They're honest businessmen who are making a living. And with this video, hopefully people can see just how important dialogue is, and the Library 100 is an integral part of this, and dialogues are extremely important. Thank you.